if you know how to take advantage of the current opportunity. A lot of people think there's a recession, savings and loan crisis. To me, it's a time to buy a lot of real estate at bargain price and make a fortune.
Do people in your area ever get divorced? Do they ever lose their job? For whatever reason. Do people in your area ever get transferred on their job? Do they ever die? Do people in your area ever inherit a property they really don't want or know what to do with it? Or are there people in your area who are trying to do real estate the hard way, dealing with problem tenants, and they just want to get out?
What's the market going to do? I have no idea. But I don't really care. I'm going to take advantage of whatever happens.
And is this your house or your ex-girlfriend's house? Okay, well, I'll tell you what, can I schedule to go and see this house with you today so that I can go over all your options real fast?
I will have to call you back because I'm on the way to the hospital right now with my girlfriend.
There, number one, he tried to say, let me call you back, right? You never want to relinquish power in a conversation. I said, no, bitch, I'm going to call you back.
People, we can give you a real all-cash offer for your house as is and can close quickly.
I'm like, I'm going to get rich in real estate. I'm going to get rich. You got your big AMG $240,000 Mercedes. I got all that shit too, guys, okay? I got the cars. I got the Rollie. We got the dumb truck. I got the bird, okay? I buy buildings. I own this building. I don't rent here. I own that building, okay? The building behind me, I don't know if they can see that other big blue building behind me. Dude, I'm trying to buy that damn thing right now, okay? Now, I got 7,000 units today. I'm bragging to you.
While average Americans are still coping with stagnant wages, little savings, and a ton of debt, home prices throughout the country continue to skyrocket to pre-2008 numbers. So how does that make any sense? If you're living in New York, San Francisco, Seattle, or Los Angeles, many of those vacant homes or gaudy high-rise luxury condos you're noticing in your neighborhood are actually occupied by foreign money. Chinese and Russian investors tend to be concerned about the economic uncertainty and instability in their own countries, so they invest in properties abroad in an effort to protect their fortunes or get their hands on EB-5 visas, which our government slangs out to rich foreigners who invest at least $500,000 in US-based projects.
John Pisalis from Realosophy looked at a combined 988 properties that lost a combined $135 million in just 134 days. His research also found that the biggest drop in housing prices were found in places where the highest number of investors purchased homes and put them up for rent. For example, in Toronto, where about 15% of all properties are investments, prices only dropped about 12% on average. In the first quarter of 2017, a third of all homes in Newmarket were purchased by speculators. And when the market turned, prices dropped more than 20%.
It is official. LA is the least affordable city in the entire country to buy a home. New numbers tonight prove what most of us already know. The American dream is out of reach for most people in LA.
Rent. You know, that thing that sucks your bank account dry at the beginning of every month. The cost of rent in the United States rose almost 3% since 2017. Its fastest pace in almost 2 years. According to Zillow, the current median rent in the U.S. is $1,445. That's over $17,000 a year.
If you live in New York, your city became unaffordable to rent in 2004. See this line? That line is 30% of what you make. Generally for rent, it's advised you don't spend past that line. But if you live in Miami, you probably passed that line in 2001. And in Chicago in 2012. Los Angeles has been playing unaffordable since before 1979. Rent is growing faster than the money most people make to pay it.
Which state is the one that is losing most people?
So when you look at the overall numbers, California is by far losing the most. Not only people, but businesses. California's lost about 500,000 people in the last 8 years. They've lost about 13,000 businesses in the last 4 years.
Getting a 5-day eviction notice at any time is scary. Even scarier, though, when you're unemployed because of a pandemic and supposed to be under the protection of an executive order. But that is exactly where one Valley woman finds herself tonight. Here's ABC 15 investigator Courtney Holmes.
You call me a liar.
Courtney is still in disbelief.
You should listen to yourself. You lying? Both you and your grandmother can go online and yourselves.
As she reads through the most recent emails from her landlord of the West Valley house she's rented since 2017. She says on March 31st, she told the landlord who lives in Canada that April rent would be late.
I wax and buff floors of like small businesses.
Days later,
just pay the rent or move out.
The emails started.
I don't need any more of your California dope smoking. I'm not even from California.
My name is Glendina Shevelin, and I'm 58 years old. I've been there almost 30 years, which will be a big anniversary for me. Is it fun? Is it a great job? Yes. But biggest misconception is that we're paid well. I'm not alone. Some of us are food insecure. I usually wait and eat my lunch around 3:30, and that's my first meal of the day. 1 out of 10 of us are homeless of some sort in the last 2 years. Some of us are sleeping in our cars. I've done that a couple of times.
It was either run completely out of money with the rent going up again, or live in my truck. I find a restroom, comb my hair, brush my teeth, wash my face. I have a suit to make people more willing to speak with you, hire you. So here I am. Couldn't afford to pay the rent. It kept going up, $700, $1,500. Now these places are $2,000, $3,000. There's nothing else to do.
Few people have seen this problem as directly as the Union Rescue Mission CEO, Andy Bales.
Yeah, there is an absolute correlation between rising rents and homelessness. In Los Angeles, if rent goes up by just 5%, 2,000 more people will experience homelessness. And if it goes up that much in New York, that's 3,000 more people who will be on the streets.
I know families that live in their vehicles and they're working.
For the first time in our history, homeless women and children far outnumber men, especially single women, just absolutely exploded.
It shouldn't be that way.
We're seeing, an increase in homelessness at an accelerating rate in Los Angeles.
Advocates say one of the main causes of homelessness is a tight supply of rental housing in areas where the poverty rate is already high.
As the economy picks up steam, there's more spending power, comes into the rental market, and a lot of it goes out again as rent increases. So rents are moving up $100, $200 at a pop. No one's income is keeping pace with that.
The rich are getting richer, and the middle class is slowly disappearing.
But the guy who's got the $3,000 a month rent because he wants to live in a nice posh apartment, he can't even try to be a real estate agent because he just knows that he can't make the first month or two. He can't go try to start the t-shirt business. He can't go and try to start a flipping houses business because his mortgage or his rent is just killing any chance of freedom in his life.
I'm paying $956 and it's going up to $3,575.
$425,000 for 232 square feet, $1,800 per square foot.
The worlds of tenants, landlords, and homebuyers have been upended, pitting private interests against civic responsibility, tech workers against artists, rich against poor, and neighbor against neighbor.
If we had seen the thousands of people who have been displaced by a natural disaster, we would have called in FEMA and we would have said, help us.
The city just hasn't planned for it. They haven't zoned for it. They haven't built for it. We want to keep this jewel of a city the way that it is, and that just isn't going to work.
Don't let them take your home away from you and their city away from you. Fight back.
The first property up for auction on today's massive list is a 3-bedroom with major curb appeal located in the East Valley of Phoenix. Opening bid is $100,000, with similar properties selling for around $180,000, leaving a wide margin for profit.
Well, good morning, my little cannoli.
Bail is going right now. It's opening up at $100,000.
Jump it up, 115. Anybody here have a problem with that? Speak now or forever hold your peace, morons.
An ABC 15 exclusive, a reality TV star living here in the Valley will now live behind bars for at least the next 10 years. ABC 15's Katie Connor joining us with exclusive details on this Property Wars star.
Scott Menagid now admits to being behind several different schemes. In one, he would actually go online and look at obituaries and steal the identities of dead people. Bad credit, no credit, you're approved. But in reality,
hold on, slow down.
This reality TV star was never getting permission for those lines of credit. Menaged would steal identities, claim they bought furniture, and then cash in. ABC 15 was the only station there as federal investigators took boxes of evidence from his Glendale store. But furniture was just the beginning. On the reality TV show Property Wars, Menaged would bid on foreclosed homes.
I'm gonna bid $500.
Turns out he was defrauding his lenders the whole time. Fake receipts and bank documents made it look like he bought homes when he actually didn't.
I don't want this.
Out of 2,700 loans, less than 100 were actually legit.
Is this thing gonna start soon?
He used his name,
well, I mean, except for you.
and his fame to the tune of $34 million to live a lavish lifestyle.
People want housing, but I think we're butting up against this multiple decades long supply constraint. I mean, if you look at the state's estimates, they think we need 180, almost 200,000 units built every year just to kind of tread water on affordability, not even to be able to start reversing course on the challenges that we have. And unfortunately, we haven't come anywhere near that since 2008, since we've been down in the recession and even before. And we haven't built at that level going back even before the downturn. And
the banks took all this money from the government, but they don't loan it. One thing I can tell you, they talk about jobs. You're never going to have jobs because real estate's the biggest industry in the country. You're never going to have building. You're never going to have anything built unless the banks start loosening up. And they're very hard to get money from. The problem is with all of the billions and trillions even that the banks have taken in, they're not putting the money out. And if they don't put out the money, you're not going to have job creation. You're just not going to have it.
How can we stop the 1% from exploiting coronavirus to enrich themselves at the expense of the rest of us?
For example, in the United States, they passed a tax cut that'll be $170 billion over the next decade, $17 billion a year to the real estate industry that literally has nothing to do, at least nothing that I or anyone else could think of, has nothing to do with the pandemic. So this all goes to the very wealthiest people in the country, $17 billion a year for things that have nothing to do with the pandemic.
Is it a bit like TARP back in 2008?
Yeah, no, it is like TARP. I mean, TARP, again, I don't want to defend TARP at all, but, that was at least directly connected to the financial crisis. These were banks, I mean, to my view, most of them should have been allowed to go under and they were bailed out. But that was connected to the financial crisis. The case of these real estate tax breaks, it's just saying, oh my God, we have a bill, has to go through Congress. We're going to put $170 billion in tax breaks for rich people on it. Nothing to do with the pandemic.